everybody. Sky Marshal here in the Lion's Den, bringing you a little special update so far of what's going on for Operation Dark Horizon. Turn 15.4 now, I guess. Moving on into the British turn. And, well, we'll just dive right in what has happened here. And quite a bit has actually happened this game. The Germans did decide to do one attack, and that was the attack into Scotland here. They brought their navy over there, and they have taken Scotland single-handedly, which was a good deployment on their hands. They brought some Panzer Grenadiers, some armored airborne Marines. However, they don't have a navy anymore because the Russians decided to sink it. They damaged the Sovietsky Soyuz and the battlecruiser Stalingrad, but nonetheless, they are still alive. They lost a good chunk of their fleet, the Svetlana, the Ismail, 2 destroyers, light cruiser. They had some casualties. Definitely a little bit hard pill to swallow, but nonetheless, they were able to sink 5 transports, German transports. So that was a lot of IPP to go down to the bottom of Scapa Flow, or the Battle of Scapa Flow there. Further south, of course, we still have the German Air Force to contend with, but that was the ruse that the Axis and the Soviets were going to put on and invade England, and we were all set up to invade London. But the sad news is our great and glorious leader Stalin was murdered and assassinated by German agents, and we couldn't stand for that. So that's where we turned and attacked the eastern borders. And what happened? Well, we invaded southern Sweden, and we did invade northern Sweden. However, it did fail, and we retreated our forces back out of there. Just was not successful. Took a few units off of them, but nonetheless, we decided to live and fight another day. However, we were far more successful in the south. Our transports went and sailed and seized Konigsberg, and we seized West Poland. We even seized Dresden in eastern Germany. We also moved up to the borders here and took southern territories of Poland, as well as we took Warsaw itself. And we brought up reinforcements to eastern Poland and into western Ukraine. Further south, once more, we were able to do a successful naval landing and take central Romania, and all Romania now becomes ours, as well as we moved outside of Istanbul into Bulgaria. So now the eastern push into Germany is at hand, and we were able to get a fort and 2 free infantry in Romania, which was a nice little bonus there. And hopefully we might keep the momentum up, but we'll see. Obviously now the Germans have to deal with a new front, and a very large front indeed. Currently right now they're going to be fighting in England, and they can abandon those troops. They're going to be fighting down here in Spain, so they got to hold on to that territory. If they do leave, they might lose a victory point there. And of course, then they're going to have forces moving to the east to countermand this. And I think, like the traditional war, they're probably, much to my detriment, putting in probably a large chunk of their Air Force over there. And they have a mighty Air Force. They got 5 jet fighters, I think 6 regular fighters, tactical, whereas our Air Force is not as grand, but it is probably at about half that strength. So we were able to build advanced mechanized S-turn, and we built some T-34s here, up here in Kiev and Smolensk. Further south, we consolidated everything here into Istanbul and built some coastal guns. And we didn't do too much more. We recalled some forces over here. We backed out of India to obviously look at the big problem where we now have a potential Africa Corps or Italians that might take out some aggression and invade north. And there may not much that we can do about it. Our only saving grace is there's the desert, which might slow down their advance. But they got to be mindful too, because there's the French down there. But I think the Allies needed Russian intervention. In the east, we took advantage of the Japanese non-aggression pact, which we did not sign, but they were just doing in kind. And we invaded and took pretty much all of Manchuria except for Rihe. We even invaded Korea. And surprisingly, very surprisingly, the Japanese did nothing. I was expecting them to attack a little bit, but they did nothing at all. And so the CCP and the Russians are weary of that because the KMT might turn around and attack us, but hopefully not. We'll see. I think our main goal is to drive the Japanese off the mainland and kick them back to or across the Sea of Japan where they belong. Now, the Japanese did build a new heavy carrier, 70,000-ton behemoth, which through intelligence we think it's called a Shinano. It could have been a Yamato-class battleship. We don't know any confirmation, but this is a huge heavy carrier, the only one on the map right now. And she's in port there, so that is definitely a very interesting choice and very, very interesting to see on the map. Now, the American fleet has left Hawaiian waters, and where are they? Well, the Japanese have brought up I-17, I-21, and I-19 as a buffer zone to help stop ships heading further south, and where the Russian intelligence believes that the American fleet is, well, they're down here in the Samoa Islands, right here, comprising this bulk, this very large invasion force. And they have brought up their American ships, the Hammerhead, the Gato, the Bonefish, the Scorpion, submarines to help blockade against Lend-Lease. And you can see the Japanese are putting up a strong defense down here in Sydney because it is worth a victory point. And I'm sure the Americans are going to try to relieve the Japanese of that victory point and liberate the Australians. Up here in the north, we see three very large fleets containing the 1st, 2nd, and 4th carrier divisions. And over here, this is what is there. We have 6 submarines, 5 destroyers, 2 torpedo boat destroyers, 5 cruisers, 2 light cruisers, the battle cruiser Haruna, the Yamato, and the Musashi. 4 light carriers, the Zuho, Ryojo, the Shoho, and the Shinyo, and the Akagi and the Kaga. Very large, the largest fleet on the planet right now, as well as there's a subsidiary fleet, an invasion fleet, that's just south of the East China Sea that was moving some forces around to protect Nanking, Kwangtung, so we'll see what happens in this area. Bit of a stalemate up here. Bengal was seized by the Japanese, but you can see fairly even odds there. So the Japanese now are definitely probably in their consolidation phase, so we'll see what they end up doing. But exciting turn. So the Japanese have finished their turn, and we'll see what happens moving forward with the British, what the British do decide to do. Last turn, unfortunately, the Italians got very lucky and sunk the British fleet, and all what really remained, well, there wasn't much of a remnant. So this is basically the remnants of the British fleet down here with the Exeter, the Trinity, and the Savage, with a few American ships. But the Italians do own the Mediterranean right now. And yeah, so we'll have to see what happens. Germans did build advanced submarines. The U-3017 is now going to be patrolling the waters in the Mediterranean, probably to do some more convoy raiding. I'm sure the Germans were hoping that the Russians would invade London and take out the Allies once and for all. But now the Germans have new problems. U-boats have been raiding, and you can see the raiding results down here with these U-boats. And up here too, 2 more U-boats. And Britain still hasn't got radar, and I think they're wishing to get radar pretty shortly. But this is where we're at right now here. I'm happy with the progress on the Eastern Front because, of course, you can see there's not a lot here. And, of course, they can have a max of 4 rail movements. They can bring some troops in, airborne some troops, drop some troops in, take some territories. But for the most part, it's going to be a turn or two before they can really repel the Russian invasion. And of course they've lost their factories here in Romania and Poland. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here on the Eastern Front in the following turns, but the clock is ticking. And we are getting closer and closer to the end of this game. So we're a few turns away from start rolling the end of the game roll. And it's going to be fun and exciting because it really is anybody's game right now. And currently, if we look at the victory point standings over here, this is kind of where we're at. I probably am a little bit off, but you can see right now, the Russians have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and possibly 8 if we do get the Pacific expansion. If we ever do get strategic rockets, possibly 9. And that's possibly what we might max out on if we're lucky. I don't think we can get too much more. The Spanish Civil War is out, and these are going to be very hard to do it. So if 9 is our max, we got to force the Axis or the Allies down to 8. And right now, these are guaranteed for the Allies. And the Allies have these ones here. So they got 5, 6, 7. So they're kind of in the running too, as well as the Germans have these two, 1, 2, 3, 4 with Paris. And then, of course, the Japanese got Nanking, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, yeah, 10. Yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a... It's a really close match. And that's probably all I'll say. And we'll have to see what happens moving forward there. But it'll be fun, guys. It will be fun one way or another. Anyways, guys, this is the Sky Marshal in the Lion's Den, bringing you a little tutorial of turn 15, mid-game on turn 15. And we'll see what the British do. Check out Madman Dan's channel on this playlist. Take care, guys. See you soon.